Actually, the response to people's perceptions about higher education system, both UC and Cal State, are surprisingly positive, even after the cutbacks of the 4 years of the recession. 41% of the people in the poll said that they thought that the universities were in good shape, compared to 37% in bad shape. And 47% thought that the schools were either improving or staying the same, and 36% felt that things were worsening on those campuses. So it's not great, but people do not think that it's a disaster.
Californians, on one hand, made it very clear that they believe that the cost of a college education is becoming increasingly unaffordable in California. But then when we asked them about whether tuition should be frozen, they made it very clear that they'd rather see tuition go up more in order to preserve the quality.
I think that people recognize that they're worried that if they freeze it for too long, it'll hurt the quality. People want affordability, but they know that the universities in California are really prestigious around the rest of the world, and they want their degree to be worth something.
The other subgroup that was most concerned about the potential rise in tuition and fees, much less surprisingly, were parents, because of course they're the ones who are going to be shelling out that money. When you break down the numbers in terms of ethnic and racial composition, Hispanic Americans, Latino and Latina voters were much less likely to think that a college education was unaffordable. On the other hand, African American voters were much more likely to say that it was unaffordable. So clearly a very split electorate on this question. But when push comes to shove, voters do seem to value the quality of a California university education over concerns of its cost.
Over the past 3 years, there's been a lot of talk about adding people from out of state, particularly to the University of California, and some of the campuses have aggressively been recruiting. Students from out of state pay an extra $23,000 a year in tuition on top of the $12,000 that they pay for regular tuition. So there is really a financial incentive for campuses to add them. But by a really big margin, 57% to 33%, the registered voters in this poll said they really do not want this expanded anymore. They expressed a lot of fears that Californians, and particularly their own kids, will be squeezed out.
We saw that Californians are overwhelmingly supportive of and comfortable with the idea of increased online education.
There is really a lot of support among the public for expanding online education by a big margin. 59% of the people in the poll said they would support adding more courses at the universities if they weren't mandatory, and 34% said they would be opposed, and they wondered whether that it might affect quality.
It's pretty clear in their responses that as online information, opinion, and entertainment becomes a larger portion of every Californian's daily life, they are becoming increasingly comfortable also with online communication playing a larger role in a college and university education.